Hello and welcome to the Move Your Business Forward podcast. These talks are hosted by Rob Boll, founder of Evoke Management and CEO of International Leaders UK. We'll be talking with experts from both these companies about issues that affect SME companies today.
Welcome to this episode of the Move Your Business Forward podcast. This particular podcast, I'm joined by two of my colleagues from Evoke, so Jerry and Dave. Jerry is an experienced entrepreneur and CTO, and Dave has done a range of things in technology and commercial strategy for businesses. And the focus of today's conversation is AI, and specifically AI as a useful application and tool for SME business, but trying to cut through what actually is useful and what's just noise and stuff to not be worried about or involved with, but the things that must be really something to consider and be at least on the radar for, I think, every single business right now. From some nodding heads, that's kind of the feeling of this, right? Excellent, perfect. So and the other thing to note, AI has had a massive amount of noise over the last 12 months in particular. I would say we're now kind of Q2 of 2024. But it's not new. We've had elements of AI and automation for a long time. It's just got a lot more profile and has got to a stage where it's a lot more relevant for a lot more uses right now. And I guess that's where we are. So, Jerry, starting with you, thinking about this topic, and specifically if you're running a business, an SME business, what should you do, or how should you interact with this technology? What would be your initial thoughts?
So I think it's like, as any technology that comes to bear, ultimately it's something that can extend or enhance your business. You just got to figure out, first of all, what parts of your business really need enhancing. And with AI, ultimately, it's another level of evolution of automation. Okay. As you said, AI has been around for a long time. I've worked with it in major capacity for most of my career in software, for different reasons and different purposes, but ultimately it's evolved dramatically, from where I remember it was to now. Ultimately, I think what really has brought it into prominence now is because of tools like ChatGPT and those technologies. This kind of idea of human dialogue has really changed. Being able to automate human dialogue, both input and output, in a way that I don't think people have seen before, has dramatically put AI, very much in the media profile, because it's so much easier to explain now what AI can give to you, because you can see it doing things that ultimately people don't really want to do, right? So like writing emails, writing dialogue, either for marketing purposes or to talk to customers on a broad base kind of thing. Those things aren't things that companies necessarily want to spend loads and loads of time on all the time, because it's very repetitive, and it can be, in that respect, it's not necessarily core. But AI, these the ChatGPT, these transformers, these general purpose transformers now can really add to that capability. But I think first and foremost, businesses have to understand what these technologies are and aren't. You can't just watch the news or listen to what Elon Musk's telling you. You've really got to figure it out, in terms of what the capability actually means, and try it, because it's actually what's really happened as well is they've really flung the doors open on this thing. Something that used to be very closed off and very highly specialized. I mean, throughout most of my career, all of the people working on machine learning were machine learning experts, or they were data science people, right? All of a sudden now you've got so much investment going in that the capability is very accessible. So businesses can get their hands on this stuff and can't start to try it in a way that I think they couldn't before. So that's definitely changed too. Yeah.
No, 100%. Well, Jerry, there's lots there. So thank you for sharing that. Dave, any other things to cover or add to that?
Yeah, I think the important thing that what Jerry said there actually is the last bit, is now it's been opened up to mass usage, then the use cases are just going to explode as people, there are conceptual uses of the AI that the designers had never even thought of, that people about thinking, I can do this with it. So I was reading some stats earlier. The ChatGPT was the second fastest service to get to 1 million users. It did it in 5 days. the only one that's done faster was when Threads launched, the Instagram sort of Twitter clone. And that was only because they linked it to Instagram. So all the millions of users of Instagram, as soon as you downloaded Threads, it instantly followed you. You know, if you had that person on Instagram, they became a follower on Threads, and the whole thing just exploded. But what's interesting is if you look at the last few months, the usage of ChatGPT has actually plateaued. So it did get up to about 1.8 billion visits a month earlier this year, and the last couple of months it's been about the same. So people are going, they're looking at it, and maybe they're not finding anything useful for them, or maybe they are. So there's a hardcore users that are starting to develop. So I think
the interesting thing with that is a lot of people have tried it, and some people have gone, oh, actually, there's an application for that in my business or in my day-to-day or in whatever scenario. And others are probably not finding that, or maybe looking at other tools. But what's not going away is this is going to impact improving the way we work in some capacity across everything. And you've got to still keep current and present in the thought process that this is just the next stage of automation, where if you don't understand it, or don't engage with it a little bit and be open-minded to it, you're gonna fall behind on multiple levels. One, doing your job. Two, other people doing their jobs potentially in your business, and probably more importantly, what your customers and suppliers are either doing or looking for you to do. If you don't have that knowledge or thought process about how this impacts your business. And I think that's the difficult thing right now, I think, is to understand, well, what do you do? What extent of investment or time or engagement? Because possibly things now people might be investing in that are going to be superseded quite quickly based on the pace of change. So it's a challenge, but it's also, okay, what's the most appropriate strategy for this? Dave, any thoughts on that in terms of starting point? If you're sat here thinking now, what do I do about this technology, this exciting technology, and how do I stay current, relevant, and in the right context as well?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. You can't put your head in the sand and ignore it. It's not going to go away. So you've got to try and embrace it and try and understand what's going on. I think the good news is that there are two key areas of technology with AI. Everybody with a service is looking about how they can plug AI into their existing product. So, we're on Zoom today. Zoom now has an AI assistant. Most big products and software are adding AI components. So if you use Canva, for example, to create presentations and graphics and everything else, Canva now has elements of AI that can add to the experience of creating those tools. So in some ways, you don't need to worry about that, because these companies are going to be spending all their time and effort to see how they can take AI to enhance their product offering, and that's just going to get better and better for you. Then there's the standalone AI services like ChatGPT that you can go and use and absolutely go and try them. But you've then got to think, well, how does that apply to me? How does it apply to my business? And there are some very surprising ways it can interact. I was talking to a travel agent recently, and I said, have you tried ChatGPT? If you'd be aware of it? And she was like, no, I don't think it's for me. I can't see a benefit for my business. And I said to her, well, look, I'll tell you what, I have a story from my son. My son's going on holiday in the summer to Europe with 5 friends, all with different interests. They're going to 6 cities. They went to ChatGPT, put all this in and said, recommend an itinerary. And in 30 seconds, it gave them a 10-day itinerary of which museums to go to, which places to visit, when to go to different festivals, different things happening. And she just looked at me like, but that's what I do, And so she suddenly realized that, oh, well, maybe there's an opportunity here for me to do my job faster in a way I'd never even conceived. Yeah. So if you don't embrace it and explore it, you're never going to come up with those ideas.
No, sure. Jerry, yeah, thoughts again on the same point. Yeah, how do you embrace this?
Yeah, absolutely. As Dave said, it's chat underneath models like ChatGPT, there's just so much information that's ingested, but it becomes a search capability way better than Google can provide. In fact, Google itself has released Bard, which is a derivative of the kind of GPT concept, but based upon Google's own capabilities, and it does provide a more kind of extensive experience when it comes to search and finding information. So I think people that do research, that kind of things, I think these capabilities really speed up your solving the problems that you're trying to solve or finding out what you're trying to find out. Absolutely. I think beyond that as well, though, that GPT, these technologies were built as chatbots. That was its principal capability. They've evolved since then, obviously, but getting back to that, actually engaging with your customer, these products are fantastic for that kind of thing, to save the kind of money that you can save by automating that kind of process. And now you've got automation engines like Zapier or Make.com. They've done a really great job at integrating those platforms with things like ChatGPT to provide you with a capability where you can now automate these kind of business processes that involve interaction with a third party as well, in a way that was really difficult before.
Jerry, so that's the interesting thing. I mean, Zapier, I've been aware of for a while. I've used it in the business for my business for a few things. The speed at which something like Zapier has managed to embrace ChatGPT and provide levels of automation which anyone non-coding with no non-coding knowledge can go and do is phenomenal. And that just shows the pace of change. I mean, back not that long ago, that would just be unheard of in terms of pace of things to go at that rate. And I think this is where if you don't open your eyes up or just see what other people are doing as a simple thing, you're going to miss out, because some of those things, okay, you might not be needing it running the business, but if your team, if your admin team, if your finance team, if your operations team aren't using these things, then they're probably spending too much time on things that you could just make everyone's life a lot easier now. Would you agree, Jerry? Yeah.
Absolutely. The accessibility now for these capabilities is so much higher than it used to be, and as I said, the way that they're integrating with ChatGPT and other capabilities like that is highly impressive. I think the other thing that you see a lot, which is quite alarming for anybody in the software engineering area, is these capabilities that are now coming out writing code. From very minimal descriptions of what you want, it's writing lines and lines and lines of code and an entire bootstrap and boilerplate capabilities to create you an application, an app that you wouldn't have had to go through before. And that is impressive, but I think we're a little bit way away from that really replacing developers. Well, one of the things I saw the other day, which was really impressive, and coming from a software background myself, I know is a huge issue, is where you've got a concept of technical debt, where you kind of inherited software, it's old, it's creaky, what are you going to do with it? You can't just get rid of it. You want to modernize it. Normally, you would have to hire people, bring them in, run a project and do that kind of work and spend all that kind of money. Well, these tools now, they can take that code and they can transform it for you to whatever you want it to be, right? Refactor it, change the basic language. And all of a sudden, that problem that you had is solved very quickly at a very minimal cost. It's extremely impressive. And I think a lot more, lots of businesses who maybe have had application development done for them in the past, they kind of got stuck with it. There's actually a real capability for them to take those apps and transform them using this technology at minimal cost.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Dave, just your thoughts on some of that we're just talking about?
I think what's interesting for me is, Jerry, you said that you've been using elements of AI throughout your career, and to me, AI is really layered on top of what was called big data. Big data was the big theme, wasn't it, a few years back? Big data sets. If you've got data in your business, then AI undoubtedly can help you do a better job of processing and using that data. So I'll give you an example of a news website, financial news website, where news announcements come out every day from companies in the stock market, and some of them can be pages and pages long of complex information. Dump that into ChatGPT, summarize it in 200 words. Then take that summary and then create a short video and use another AI tool to create that as an actual video or animated video with text and music and scrolling images. And literally you can take a relatively boring 4 or 5 page technical document to a multimedia video in 30 minutes that is much more accessible to the audience. That's a perfect example of using AI, looking at what you're already doing and doing it quicker, better, faster. So it's looking at your processes. Where are the bottlenecks? Where is the crunch point? Where are you spending a lot of time and effort doing something can AI do it faster? And definitely anything big data related, you can content creation. Everybody wants to have great content on the website for SEO. There's that wonderful book, Rob, that we've talked about. They ask, you answer. So go to ChatGPT, and one of the tricks I saw was asking the ChatGPT to ask you questions. So ask me 10 questions about my business that will help you write some content for my blog. And ChatGPT, then there's a prompt there. It will ask you questions, and you get some fantastic feedback in there. So it's understanding the power of the tool. And there was a phrase actually that someone mentioned today: the AI whisperer will be a good job title in the future. It's how to ask the questions of the AI to get the best answers. It's going to be as important as what you get out of it.
Yeah, well, that's going to be one of the new roles of the future, probably, isn't it? Because that's the thing. This might take out some mundane, repetitive task type thing, with potentially some research type time, but that ultimately opens up other opportunities as well for new roles or new things to be done.
Yeah, there's a role actually called prompt engineering now. It's created. That never existed before, right? And you can get hired for a job to do that. But actually, ironically, there are applications coming out now that are using AI to do the prompt engineering. So with every new job that comes, all of a sudden, AI is coming to take that one too.
Just the one thing I want to just talk about is you two are the techie focused. You embrace technology mainly because you enjoy it, and you I guess in some ways a little bit nerdy, right, in terms of that aspect, if I can say that without offending anyone. But the non-techie, non-nerdy business owner that wants to try and make sure they're on the right page in terms of embracing this, I would say it doesn't necessarily have to be just them, but they need to be getting an idea of what you could do with it. And then to me, it's your team giving them some form of remit that they can go and embrace some of this to try it, but without wasting time, going down the wrong rabbit hole, or potentially opening up other risks to your business of data breaches or tapping into the wrong kind of thing, or signing up for the wrong thing. So just thinking purely from a non-technical perspective, what advice, Jerry, starting with you, would you give to a business owner who's going, right, we've got to do something with this, but I don't want it to be a big distraction or to us to go the wrong way? So what would be your top couple of tips to start with in terms of what to do?
I think pick manageable and smaller and discrete challenges really to solve. Starting, and ultimately, it's not just saying throw technology at a problem. It's what's the problem. Understand the problem first of all. Fundamentally, what the root cause of it is, and then engage the right people to figure out where AI technologies can make a difference for you in that capacity, and what impact that difference will have. And ultimately, there should be a close fit. If you're trying to make something, the wrong size fit in the wrong size hole, then ultimately you've got to bail from that quite quickly. I think the other challenge is it's a huge, great big forest out there now of capabilities and different products and competing products. Navigating, finding a way through that without spending too much time comparing everything is a challenge. So you do have to invest ultimately in that understanding of what these basic capabilities are and match them very closely to what you really need as a business. Without, again, that will help you avoid spending too much time on figuring out everything, I'd say.
I think it's a really simple thing you just said there, actually, Jerry, at the beginning, is find a problem and then see if you can solve it with some of this. And if you've got a resource issue in your team or tasks are taking too long, a simple question could be that have you tried looking at what AI tools there might be to help with that? And that's a starting point. But have a problem you're trying to solve is going to avoid you going down some rabbit hole, just going, oh, this would be really cool, we could do all this, if it's not going to help or be relevant to anything you're doing. So I think using AI to solve a problem, which could be inefficiency or not enough time to do things, or you've lost a team member, for whatever reason, can you replace that person with other people plus some AI solution that's going to help people be more proactive? Dave, what would be your advice to a non-techie person?
I think very similar to what you've already said, Rod, just finding a problem. It's just looking at your business and looking at your processes and looking at how your business functions and see where would you like to make incremental improvements? Where would you like to add new services or new products where the AI technology might help you do that faster, or something you can now offer that you can never offer before? So it's look for the opportunity and don't be scared of the technology. It's just another tool. If you think back in business, we've all gone through, first using email and instant messenger, and live chats, and all the Zoom communications, and everything we're doing now. We all have to embrace technology, so don't be afraid of it. Explore it, but fundamentally, as Jerry said, what are you going to use it for? What problem are you solving, or what process are you improving? And I think I would look at that process improvement and incremental improvements as definitely a key game for any business. We all know that, yes, you can create step change in businesses, but incremental improvements usually generally get a bigger reward over time than trying to create a step change by doing something completely new.
No, perfect. I think that's a great point, Dave, and Jerry, great points as well. We've run out of time for this. It's going to be a short 20-minute or so conversation on this topic. I think there's some useful things there, and I think as a starting point, if you haven't got anyone technically minding your business and you're listening to this, I think having a conversation with one of you two would be perfect way to start by having a chat and saying, right, is it worth having someone come in and just have a look at things, and potentially just going through a review of current process systems, team capabilities, and go, right, where are there some quick wins and ways to start embracing this at a pace that makes sense for the business. And I think that's really crucial. Thank you both for joining us today, and hopefully we can circle back for another conversation on this topic at some point as well.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like more information about the topics discussed in this podcast, then you can find us on our website at moveyourbusinessforward.com.